There we were, sitting in the lobby with the guildmates, listening to some actors scream in line about starting the game already. But everyone had to wait, for I, Sykes, had a plan. And I had to figure out how to tell a friend Zam on Steam so I could message him in secret before we could stew our evil schemes of elephants. Elephants, I tell you. I had spent the entire day browsing the text tree, searching for the one unit that could tear through our enemies with tooth and tusk. Malay get a 30% discount on elephants. They age 66% faster than any other civilization, and they have a unique tech that changes the militia line to cost only food. And I had meticulously planned a new build order to get to spam elephants at high food cost units indefinitely as fast as I possibly could. Welcome to Hideout. In the pink, we have DarkMocha Stout playing as the British. The British are an archer civilization. They get bonuses to the range units of their archers, so their unique techs increase the range of all of their ranged units. Normally you would see them create a bunch of archery ranges because you can produce a bunch of archery ranges faster than you can produce a bunch of castles. And maybe one castle to get the unique techs, and then spam a bunch of crossbowmen, and then in the late game transition from those crossbowmen over to longbowmen. It's a nice civilization to have on a map like Hideout. If I zoom out for our map on Hideout, this is one of my favorite maps in Age of Empires. In Hideout you start with palisade walls. So it's kind of a false sense of security in the beginning, maybe helps you out against an initial Dark Age rush, but they only have 250 HP, so they can be taken down a little bit easier than the stone walls can. So some people wall behind them, others just leave them up and kind of use them as a warning when enemy comes near. In the middle though, you've got all of this wood. And as the game goes on, people in the mid-game can either start cutting with onagers in order to sneak around and attack the enemy bases from inside, or in the late game, if nobody's paying attention, it all just opens up, and suddenly everyone's base is exposed to everyone else. And the whole time you've been fighting on the outside, whoever's paying attention can just march in through the inside and win the game. So it adds kind of an extra layer of chaos to Age of Empires, and I really like the map. Playing with DarkMocha. In the yellow, playing as the Mongols, we have NineBang. The Mongols are probably the best late game civilization. They have the Magadai as their unique unit, which is a ranged unit that throws things that look like axes to me. I believe they ignore pierce armor, but I could be wrong about that. But they do get extra bonus damage against siege. So their Magadai can swoop in, take out any trebuchets or any rams, and then jump back into a castle to protect themselves, and it's almost impossible to beat in the late game. Fully upgraded, I believe it's the best unit in the game. Their difference in the frame rate of their attack animation is the smallest out of any attack animation in the game, which means they can quickly throw, walk back, turn, throw, walk back, turn, throw, walk back, so fast that most units won't be able to catch up. So even scouts, if they're turning, running back, turning, running back, turning, running back, won't be able to catch up to the Magadai in late game. Playing as the Malians is Jag. Malians are an infantry civilization. I believe they get a unique unit that is a melee unit that is created relatively fast. I believe that's the Gebetto, but I could be wrong. Supposedly, playing as the Malay, but actually playing as the Malians without knowing it, is me. I am doing a fast elephant strategy, and I've told my ally that I'm going elephants secretly, so nobody else knows. So my ally, CKSchroder here in Cyan, is playing as the Burmese, which is actually an elephant civilization. Gets a bunch of armor bonuses to any elephants he creates. However, I have told him that I've got this plan to go fast elephants that I've been working on, and I've asked him to go archers and scorpions. So add some siege support, anything you can do to support elephants, and I'm going to go elephants and just kind of work my way around the map. If you can do anything to support against spearmen is what I've asked him to do that. So he thinks I'm going elephants, I think I'm going elephants. We've got this special strategy in order to make it work. So in order to make this work, I'm going to be moving villagers back and forth in my early game. I've got kind of a strict build order that I have to adhere to, where I'm going to have the minimum possible on food, 6 on food before I send 4 to wood. Then I'm going to build up 14 on food, then 9 on wood, and then 6 on gold before I ever age up to age 2. So there's a lot going on in my Dark Age. I need 29 population before I actually hit Feudal. But with 29 population in Dark Age before I hit Feudal, I will have enough working wood and food and gold to be able to get the gold that I need in order to age up to Castle Age, to get the wood that I need to build the buildings I need to get to Castle Age, and to get the food I need to, by the time I build the 2 buildings, be able to age up to Castle Age. So my transition from Feudal to Castle should be in about the time it takes to build 2 buildings. So if everything goes well, really, really slow Dark Age and extremely fast Feudal Age, with enough on farms or wood that I can pull the wood off to farms every time that I get 60 wood after that, to by the time that Castle Age finishes completing, get 18 farms total, have collected all of my hunt and all of my berries, and have 6 on gold, which, with the Malay bonuses and their discounted elephants, would have been enough to continuously produce 2 elephants up until the point where I hit 20 elephants, as long as I idled my town center, I think. And just in case, to give myself a little bit of extra leeway, I actually changed the build order a little bit. The original build order called for building a blacksmith and a stable in Feudal as the 2 buildings that you rush up, and I was going to build a marketplace instead, transfer some of those stone that I got over to either food or wood, depending on what I was short on, to give myself an even faster uptime than what the build order had. So in practice, I was getting Castle Age around 13 minutes or 14 minutes mark, which would have been insane. So I'm thinking I'm going to try to do something similar. Let's take a look at the early game after maybe the 5-minute mark. So here in Cyan, going out to the animals first, I like it. Over in purple, okay, we're building a house and going out to the animals first, looks good. In yellow, we are milling first. I might recommend taking your hunt first instead, with all of your villagers actually. So go for the hunt first, then the lumber camp. Once you've got the lumber camp, you can collect the wood from the lumber camp and have a shorter distance to travel than all the straggler trees. You'll, at the point where you get 100 wood, have hopefully finished off all the food by the TC, and then you'll be able to build the mill without having any gap in your resources. So if I was going to do this, I would build at least 6 villagers, possibly 7 villagers, to take the animals that are on the inside. Use my scout to keep sending these cows that I find towards the town center. That way, if you've got 6 or more villagers that are collecting food, you can continuously produce villagers. Spend your next 4 villagers to wood, and then when you've collected enough wood to build your mill and you can transition villagers from the hunt to the berries. That's probably the fastest way to go up. We've got Jag over here doing just that. So 6 villagers on food right now collecting the boar. Got some sort of a build order going on here. We built one mill first, and we've got 1 on wood. So this looks like an ideal build order to me, although we are housed at the moment, so maybe 2 houses in the beginning instead of just 1. Also, this whole generated line here for the palisade walls is kind of in the way. I might consider, given a generation like this, just deleting those walls completely and then building your lumber mill a little bit forward. That way you've got less time to walk back and forth. Okay, back to Pink Mocha. Collecting all of our animals underneath, and milling our wood lines. This looks really good, much better than last time. Over to myself. So I actually lost a villager here, so I misclicked with the cow. My cow and my scout both tried to block the boar, and ended up blocking each other instead, so I killed my villager. So I'm 1 villager down, and not a very good start for me over in Cyan. Okay, how many do we have? I've got 3 on food for Cyan. So that's not enough to keep up villager production, unfortunately. Are you gonna take the boar? Come on, take it. Nice. So that's actually the first time I've seen DarkMocha take the boar. Oh, get on back though. Oh.
Yay?
Okay, so the boars are a little bit dangerous, but if you take your first villager that you sent to attack the boar, then run back to the TC and then take all the other villagers off of food to shoot the boar as it comes, that boar is only going to chase whichever villager shot it first. And then you can maybe avoid losing a villager in the process. But even losing a villager, these boars are, I think, 340 food for this map, so that's still worth it. That's like 6 villagers, almost 7 villagers worth of food. So even losing 1 villager, that's not bad. Okay, yellow, not taking any boars, not taking any chances, but we do have 6 on food now, taking the food underneath the town center, which is ideal. That's going to give us enough on food that we can continue to produce villagers. And now enough for a lumber mill. I might consider putting the lumber mill right against the wood line, because you're going to break through the trees anyways. So the closer for the lumber mill, the better. Okay, lots on food for yellow, looking good. Pink, still taking boar. Okay, I'm over here taking the boar as well. I'll pause again at the 10-minute mark, I think. So, taking the second boar. My build order called for 14 on food before I start transitioning to wood. So I'm going to start transitioning over to wood here until I've got 9 on wood, and then transfer over to gold, get 6 on gold, and then age up. So Jag already aging up to feudal at the 8-minute 30 mark. So that's remarkably fast. Good food income too, hasn't taken any of the berries. This would be really good for a scout rush actually. If you wanted to just take all this food that you're gathering, build a stable, and then rush forward with 5 or 6 scouts, I think you could easily break through the palisade walls and do some damage here. Especially with the kind of lengthy build order that I was going for. I don't even have a barracks up yet, so I'd have to build a barracks before I could even respond. Almost at the 10-minute mark, but everyone's looking pretty good here with the resources. Collecting the second boar, I like that a lot. That's nice. Okay, here in blue, I like that the lumber camp is close to the wood line. However, there's not much wood line there. I think an ideal placement would be in the back, but if you haven't scouted it yet, I guess it's still not bad. Do need to take in some of these cows though that you found. Okay, not going for the boars for cyan or yellow. Okay, we're a little bit past 10 minutes, see how we're doing. So, villager counts, I'm at 26 personally, and I'm still not on the way up. Cyan's at 16, not on the way up either. Everyone else on the opposite team is already in feudal or is going up to feudal right now. Yellow at 10 population, pink at 14, and cyan at 15. So I think we still need to focus on just having villagers producing at all times, and I think most of that was in the beginning with those first couple villagers, making sure that we always have at least 6 villagers on food so that you can have enough food to keep producing the villagers after you do that initial burst with the food that you're given to start out with. You need 6 villagers on food. After that, then we can start building lumber camps and other stuff. When I'm building, I usually do 2 houses right away so that I've got all the population space I need to keep building villagers, and then rush those villagers back to animals along with the first couple villagers that I create until I've got 7, and then I jump over to wood after that. But you can do it with 6 if you're careful. Let's take a look at idle times really quick. So here on the bottom. Okay, so these are idle economies. These are how much time that villagers have collectively not been doing anything. So if there's 2 villagers that are just standing still for 1 minute, then that will add 2 minutes to this timer. So lowest idle time, 40 seconds, highest idle time about 9 minutes, average maybe 4.5. Over here is idle TC. This is how long total that your TC was not producing anything so far. So ideally, this would be as close to 0 as possible. So we've got, oh, I read this wrong. Okay, this is flipped. So the idle TC for DarkMocha's team is on the right side and idle eco is on the left side. But idle TC is how long your TC was not producing anything, which is here for us. And then idle economy is how much time that your villagers were not doing anything after they were produced. Okay, change this back. On this screen, you can see how much of each resource that you've collected so far, and then underneath that, how much villagers that you currently have tasked to those resources. So everyone now has at least 6 villagers on food, which means everyone can continuously produce villagers after this point if they want to. Okay, let's keep going. So yellow finishing up all the food underneath is a little bit behind on how much food is banked, only because we did not pick up the boars yet. But we do have 4 on the lumber camp, which is going to be enough to build all the houses and buildings that we need in the immediate future. And with 6 on food, we've got enough food that we can continuously produce villagers as soon as that hits, so that all looks good. Okay, house placement here. Kind of building a second inner wall inside the first one. So that's not bad. If this was a rated game, I think most people would want to build the houses right behind the palisades. But this is still viable, I think. It does limit your secondary farm placement if you wanted to build another ring of farms around this one. But having a little extra protection around the TC and something else for units to control into isn't a bad thing, I think. So, okay, got 1 on gold now. Pink. Moving up, okay. So I am on the way to Feudal now. As I'm going up to Feudal, I'm building a barracks. As soon as I hit Feudal, then I'm going to want to rush up 2 buildings. I'm going to pull off gold for that. I'm going to build the marketplace and the stable as my 2 buildings to go up to Feudal, and I'm hoping that once this hits Feudal, I'll be able to go up to Feudal in about the time it takes to build 2 buildings. So we'll see how quickly this takes me really quick. In order to start castles, we are completing our feudal, so age 2 in 3, 2, 1, no. Okay, so in feudal right now. So immediately building 2 buildings, I'm using 2 villagers to do that to speed it up a little bit, because as soon as these buildings are done, we already have the gold that we need to age up. I just need 100 more food, and I think by the time that I finish this second building, we'll have that. But I don't want to wait for this one to complete, so I'm a little bit slow right now. There we go. Okay, the second building. And as of right now, we've got the resources that we need to click castle. So as soon as these 2 buildings are finished, I'm going to click castle and that's it. While I was doing that, I was constructing 2 villagers, which is all I have time for before this one completes. I've already shift right clicked onto the gold, so as soon as they finish building this building, they'll go back on gold. Same thing for these ones. So you should see them flip back to gold, and I'm already at the TC waiting to click castle. There we go. So, Feudal Age in 1 minute, 10 seconds game time. Clicking up to castle. And, okay, Cyan's collecting the board now, looks good. Second board is already at the mill, so that should be closer to collect as well. And that's going to be a nice boost in Feudal Age. Cyan's on the way up to Feudal now. In pink, so pretty early trade again. I don't think the trade cards are worth it until a little bit later on. TC for the moment. I was actually looking for, do you have a Q point? But I guess I can't see that from here. I'll have to wait until this villager produces. If you click your TC and then right click a resource, then your villager will automatically go to that. That can save some time so they don't just sit idle in front of the town center. Okay, oh. Never mind, so that was just click to nothing. So I would recommend, if you don't know what to click to, then right click one of the straggler trees that are around the town center and you can always pull off that. If they build farms, they will drop off the wood that they collected already from the straggler tree once the farm completes. Okay, in yellow. Finishing up the berries, so we need to transition back to farms. In orange, got archers. Okay, so right here I hit castle and I'm going to pause. So again, I'm thinking elephants. And it's at this point, as soon as I hit castle, that I double click the stables and I realize that there's no options for elephants because the civilization I'm playing doesn't get elephants. And my entire economy is designed to use some of the Malay bonuses that have discounted elephants that take a lot of food and not a lot of gold, and can convert all of the infantry costs to food instead of gold. So you can see I've got 15 on food, and I'm actually moving people off wood so that I can get a massive boost of military from my stables that I'm not going to be able to do with this civilization. Okay, so I'm seeing that just now, and I kind of panic. So you're going to see, as soon as I notice, I queue up a bunch of villagers in the town center because I know this is not going to work. And in the build order I was planning, was going to mass a bunch of elephants. There we go. So I just realized, mass a bunch of elephants, and that meant that I would idle my TC. But if I idle my TC now, I'm going to be way behind in my villager count. I'm still probably going to have to do that because this is a mess. So I'm sending the extra villagers that I create over to wood because I don't have enough wood right now to reseed these farms. Since I was planning on one massive push and kind of an all-in strategy. So now I've got to build more villagers and then toss these villagers that are coming off farms over to wood somehow. And it's just at that point, Jag comes in with a bunch of archers. And he hasn't hit yet, but I think he hits the gate. So I can see him with those archers. And I figure I need to transition into something else, so I just queue up a bunch of knights. The cost is twice as much as what the elephants would have been as far as gold. And I only have 6 on gold, so I cannot produce these indefinitely like I wanted to. But I can at least get 10 knights on the field with all of the gold that I had banked up so far. Which should be more than enough to wipe out the archers and maybe make a counterattack of some sort. Now, in that moment, when I had first clicked the stables and realized, oh my, there's no war elephant here, and I'm the wrong civilization, I queued up the villagers, alt-tabbed out, and messaged my teammate saying the whole strategy that we had planned, and yeah, that's not going to work because I don't have any elephants anymore. So I think he had been setting up on gold and on stone, so looking for some sort of support with siege, possibly castles later on. He's got wood and gold for archers, so everything that we were doing as a team is kind of all out of whack, and from this point on, we're kind of winging it. So I've got 2 stables. I'm going to try to produce knights for as long as I can. I don't have the gold income to keep doing that though, so I'm going to have to transition over to light cavalry at some point. Light cavalry only costs food, which is similar to the militia line that I would have gone for to back up the elephants. So because I've got so many on food, right now 16, and I'm kind of balancing out getting enough wood in order to reseed these farms, so I'll be able to keep doing this. I'm going to take the extra food, produce a couple extra villagers, and then heavily invest in that light cavalry and make one big push to try and take as much off Jag as possible. Okay, so that's where I'm at. Jag over here just lost some of the archers, but has a barracks ready to protect against anything that's going to counterattack. Also has a blacksmith that's set. It has enough farms to keep some sort of food unit producing. Okay, over in yellow, enough farms to keep producing villagers, have some wood here, so, and gold, possibly going pikemen or archers. Maybe if we can get a few more farms up, then we can get a bunch of man-at-arms. There's a stable there. Okay, I can see an archery range for DarkMocha, heavy on, well, 1 extra on wood and 3 on gold. Finishing up with food so far, so a little bit of everything it looks like. Need the gold and the wood for archers, so that looks good so far. Oh, up here, that's what I'm missing. Okay, stone. So 4 on stone, getting ready for the castles. Maybe ready to either build walls for the rest of the team, or castle up for the forward in case Cyan makes a push. Somehow, her scout has gotten into the walls. Guess maybe the gate opened at some point. Alright, so here goes none. First, knights can take on archers if they're in small numbers, but if the archers are massed, then they would lose that fight. Archers are individually fairly weak, but you can mass them up and they can all stack on a single tile. So if you get like 30 or 40 of them together, then they could take on the knights pretty handily. I still had not scouted my this whole side of the base at all yet, so I had been building these houses in order to wall off my woodline, and I'm just realizing now that this whole area is closed off when I tried to send the knights forward over to Jag's base, and they got stuck in the trees in the middle. So all of those extra house walls that I was making to keep my villagers safe outside my wall are kind of useless. They're just getting in the way now. I should have been building on the outsides here. I still don't have enough wood to reseed my farms. I need 60 wood in order to put down another farm, so I am temporarily farming here, but pulling the villagers as they go off that line over to farms. So I really only need them to collect once, and then I need them to come back anyways for the farm. So I felt like building a lumber mill there wasn't worth it, so I just need those farms as fast as possible in order to support my food. And now, massing the rest of those knights together, I'm just going to wait until I get 8 or 10 of them and hit the walls. We're just kind of massing up the outside of the base, somewhere around here-ish maybe. It's yellow up to... Okay, we've got some trade going on for yellow and pink. Yellow's also on stone, so possibly looking for a castle. So is Cyan. Okay. DarkMocha now 7 on wood, which looks good for archers. 4 on gold, and... Okay, so here I come for Jag. So Jag already has 2 spearmen, and has upgraded to man-at-arms. So he's going infantry primarily, as far as his upgrades that he's gotten so far. So, at this stage, with a couple upgrades, I should still be able to take on spearmen. So I'm researching bloodlines, gives me extra HP for the knights, which is coming in 20 seconds. And I already researched the padded armor first, which is going to increase my melee armor now that I spotted the infantry. Okay, so I was rushing in for the TC first, trying to see if I could pick off any villagers, but he garrisons right away. So now I can't go into the town center, and that means I need to pull off. So my next thought was, if I can get behind this to the wood line, which has to be somewhere towards the middle for a hideout, because all the wood's in the middle, then maybe I'll be able to hit some villagers up there. So I'm transitioning up to see what I can find up north. And I hit the jackpot. So that villager opens the gate for me, and lets me into the wood line. In the meantime, I can pick off all the stone here and try to pick off as much as I can with the farms. I'm losing a couple knights, but I feel like that was worth it as far as taking out the economy goes, because Jag was right up there with me in villager count by that point, since I had to idle the TC in order to go up to castle and in order to reset my food production with the farms. So I've gone from being even with Jag in villager count to doubling his villager count with that raid. So already I think that was worth it. Jag does have help coming. So here's 5 men-at-arms from yellow. All of the spearmen that he was creating were doing fairly well against the knights. And I could take them out with 3 or 4 knights, but ideally I would want to hit them from the back. He's getting decent value while I'm not paying attention, trying to hit the towers underneath and correct my eco. But I just wanted to get it down so that he couldn't produce any spearmen. I thought I'd be okay then, but yellow rushes in. So yellow with the men-at-arms. There we go. Not upgraded at all though, so still should trade okay against those. So my first wave has been successfully defeated by the garrison, the towers, and the men-at-arms, but I still have 3 knights that I had looped back around over here. And I was attacking the market, not really because I cared about destroying the market, but more because I wanted to have units in the back somewhere, so that I could check the wood lines. So I go back to check the wood line, and Jag kind of senses that I'm up to something, I think. So he's already pulled the villagers back. So I was going to loop back around and try to check all the resources again with those other 2 knights, but he's chasing with all of these units, which I thought were spearmen at the time, so I'm running away. Meanwhile, that main mass of knights that I was collecting out here moves in. Okay, so I saw that they were archers and men-at-arms and not spearmen. So I dive in and take them out. I've got enough to take out the towers. Towers can't hit me in Feudal Age. Actually, can't hit me unless you get an upgrade that's only in Castle Age. Murder holes in order to attack knights that are within 1 tile. So my knights are safe here to attack the tower as long as there's nothing garrisoned. With all the villagers evacuated, I don't have to worry about any TC fire. Fortunately, DarkMocha comes in a little bit early, maybe. Too late for the men-at-arms, too early for the spearmen to support. So she runs away, but because she's running away, I can pick them off while they're running without losing anything. And don't have to worry too much about the spearmen. If they had fought together, or if instead of just clicking to run away, maybe click to run, then click one of the units to attack, then click to run, then click one of the units to attack, and then maybe you can get some more value as you're running. Targeting those 2 that are weak there, I think you could have taken out those 2, and then if you stuck a little bit closer to the spearmen, they probably could have taken out the other 2 to wipe it out. Okay, these 2 are safe under the TC as long as there's no as long as there's no villagers garrisoned inside. So Pink sending wood over to Jag so that he can rebuild the TC, and Jag's coming through with some villagers. Evacuating into Yellow's base for now. And I've got knights coming forward trying to knock on the gates. So I'm going to move through, check the gold, see if I can hit the gold before he comes back. But he's got the spearmen there. The villagers are able to get away to the TC, so now I've got to loop around again and see if I can find wood. Again, I know wood's going to be in the middle, so I'm just looping around trying to avoid the TC fire and get back into the wood line so I can hit as many villagers as possible. Still thinking I've got to do damage as much as I can, because our whole elephant strategy didn't work out. I still have 17 on wood and only 6 on gold. That's not enough to keep producing these knights. So I'm going to hit a point where I run out of gold and can't keep producing these indefinitely. Right now I've got breaks in between, so this isn't a steady stream, this is more like a trickle. You can see here, mixing in scout cavalry, because they only cost food, so when I've got a break and I can't produce because of the lack of gold, I'm producing that instead. And because I've got these rams coming up, I had created the rams initially because I thought these knights wouldn't be able to take the TC, but now that Jag's down, or at least out of his base, those rams are going to start massing outside yellow so that I can take out the TC, and these knights are just going to bounce around taking out villagers. So right now things are looking okay. Yellow's economy is idle, Jag's ran back to pink. Cyan's still massing back here with a bunch of units. Kind of got a feel right now, since people are starting to hit the castle age, that we're going to run into castles and these knights are not going to be as good later. So I'm selling all of the floating resources that I've got, trying to make more rams, trying to get a couple units to support them. But I'm still I am still in castle age myself. Okay, after all of that trading, I've got 1,000 gold banked. I had to make a call here, so do I spend that 1,000 gold in order to start producing another wave of knights, or do I castle age? So I waited a minute to see how this push was going to do, and I'm going to mass up my rams here. So I've got 2 rams and a couple knights, but I don't see anything on the field, so I thought I was safe to go in. Even though I don't have a lot massed. I do have a couple knights patrolling here, trying to just check the wood line, make sure that nothing comes. They're a little bit weak, so they wouldn't do too well against the TC fire anyways. Okay, the rams go in. The rams can soak up any of the town center fire. I've got the rest of my knights out here. They can run in if something starts hitting the rams. So I run in for the towers, and that's when DarkMocha comes with this massive force of archers. So even though the knights are good against the archers, that's enough of them that they could start picking me off. So I think we end up trading evenly here. With the TCs, he manually clicks off of the rams and starts joining with the archers, and that allows them to pick off the rest of the knights. So if that push from pink allows them to hold. And I had made the decision just before that I was going to go to imp. Because I thought yellow was dead. Going imp because I figured by now pink probably has castles, since pink and orange are back together in the same base now, and I'm going to need trebuchets to deal with that. I've also... Oh, this is really cool. So back here, I had built a TC, planning on stealing all of these farms from Jag. And at some point, Jag spots that. And starts deleting all of his farms individually. So if he hadn't done that, I would have been able to take my own villagers and click his farm in order to steal it. So I wouldn't have to spend the 100 wood to build those food. It would have given me a huge food boost. So there was, I think, 12 farms there. So I was really excited about building this TC and stealing all of his farms. But because he individually stole all of those, and I had kind of been banking on being able to steal those, that set me back quite a bit. So I had to think of something else to do with this TC. So I think I only ended up building 2 farms and then going for stone instead. Alright, so I'm building all of these battering rams, and I've got more upgrades on the knights. I'm starting to mass the knights on the outside this time, and make another push into yellow. I still have a couple knights watching the wood line, a couple knights here in case he tries to make an evacuation, and I'm trickling in either knights or scouts one at a time. just to check the gold. I wanted to get back here and figure out what was going on. But I wasn't having any luck. Okay, still waiting on the rams to actually push that, which are on the way. I've got 3 rams and a monk coming eventually. Really should have built that more forward, I think. In the meantime, Cyan has not moved out yet. Jag and DarkMocha have expanded their collective eco all throughout the space. And are looking much better. Jag's back up to 30 pop, DarkMocha at 37. So still, collectively, almost at 100 pop. That's 80 villagers for their team to 91 for ours. So our team is starting to pull up ahead in villager count. After that last straight on yellow. Jag does a pretty good job of closing the gap, I think. Okay, so still massing up units, getting ready for the ram push. We start to move on. Okay, I've got the monk there, trying to convert any high value units that I can. We do manage to save the ram, and we've got all of our knights in light cab chasing the villagers out of base. So without anything garrisoned, I'm free to run underneath the town center and start attacking the towers. The rams are coming forward to take out the TC, and I should be able to take the space too. Okay, I didn't spot the villagers that went out here because the 2 knights that I had sitting there to watch for the evacuation had been taken out by the man-at-arms. So he does manage to pull all of these villagers out without me noticing. So I figured they'd gone into the pink base, but they'd actually just gone southwest. It took me the whole rest of the game to find it. Okay, in the meantime, I am heavy on stone everywhere that I can be on stone. Because I am planning on going for a castle to counter whatever castles they've got. And at about that time, Cyan starts moving forward. And I think I notice when a scout comes close by in a minute. I didn't notice right away, but at some point I saw Cyan had this massive army that was moving up. And I thought, I can't keep waiting around, because Cyan's got this army that's kind of waiting around outside his base. Okay, so still haven't noticed yet, but I'm mopping up the rest of the buildings. I figure I've got to at least take out the stable, so that he can't produce any knights behind my rams and take him out from the back. Still collecting all of that stone, trying to get enough for at least 2 castles is my goal, so I need 1,300 I think. Okay, and dancing around the walls with the scouts, trying to figure out what's going on with the enemy defenses here. And at some point, one of my scouts ran up and saw Cyan. And I probably wouldn't have noticed without that. But as soon as my scouts, I think here, see Cyan, then I know I've got to move in. Okay, so I was massing up units over here, but seeing Cyan, I take all of these and I start clicking them over to here. I've got villagers that are coming up in order to build the castle. And Cyan's on the way. And really like the way that the elephants are soaking up all the archer fire, taking out all the walls in front. The petards explode. Yeah, there we go. So, as the defending player, you would want to target the petards. As the attacking player, you'd want to target the walls just with the petards, and then move everything afterwards, I think. But, okay, so the first wall's breached. And everything's kind of focused on the west side. I'm looping around, but I don't think I'm fast enough to use it as a distraction. So they wipe that up. Do they re-wall? No. So the holes are left. Cyan's coming back in. This whole wood line's exposed, but I don't think it's hit. Nope. It does keep a couple units out that way. I'm trying to look for Cyan. And that's good for me because I'm getting ready to drop this castle here. I still did not have enough gold to produce rams and knights. So I'm producing light cav instead because I've got so much extra food from the elephant economy that's not going to work. So my thought was, if I can ram a hole in the outer wall and then rush all my scouts forward to attack around the castle or just distract units, then I might be able to get that castle up with villagers even though it's in range of the enemy castle. And then whatever damage that I do with the rams, if I've got my own castle up, should help me win the castle war. So all of these scouts that I'm about to send in, I'm actually planning on losing. All of these knights that I'm sending in are what's actually going to save the rams, hopefully. And as soon as I do that, he's got all of these pikemen ready, which destroy everything that I'm about to make. So pikemen are perfect for the scouts, they're perfect for the rams, they're good for the knights. I've got nothing for pikemen at the moment. So I go for the archers first, and the archers open the gate for me, and that allows me to throw everyone in. Which is fine for me, as long as I'm giving the castle something else to shoot long enough to build this castle myself, I'm okay. So here's all of those villagers that were previously on stone. I've got 1400 stone, which is enough for 2 castles. And I'm still making up more in my base, so I'll have maybe enough for 3 if I'm lucky. And we're pushing forward. Again, not planning on getting much value out of these other than distracting long enough for the castle to not hit the villagers. So far that's been fine. And I tried my luck, because I wasn't actually paying attention to what was going on up here. So I thought maybe that distraction was working really, really well, and I can get a second castle up, but it was obvious right there, he's shooting my villagers, and that's really what I'm focusing on, so I've got to run back. And I decide if I can't get that castle up, I'm going to leave the base there for now. So that's blocking everyone from coming on the outside here, and I've got the stone forward anyways. Maybe I can get back and build that on my next push. So I come back and start building up these stables. So we've got 1 siege workshop and a bunch of stables forward now. As long as I finish building that. And I'm an Imperial, they're all in castle, which means I can build trebs and they can't. So I should be able to win the castle war. If everything else is equal. Jag sees what I'm doing, he's ready with some rams. Even the 2 rams should be enough to take out the castle. He's got all of these unique units, which come in and take out the treb, and they systematically wipe out all of the villagers. So I've only got 2 stables forward instead of 5. That means I've got to pull even more villagers back to finish off these. My castle fire should be enough to wipe out the rest of these, but I need more units to take out these rams before they finish taking out the castle. So I bring in a couple knights, I'm queuing, and I've got a couple knights inside the castle, which Garrison wrote about now, and throw after the rams. And we end up taking out the rams just in time. In the meantime, Cyan hits the moat. And Cyan's coming with a ton of siege and elephants and everything, all the scorpions and archers that I had asked him to make protect the elephants, and ends up wiping out the castle to the north. I've got a couple knights that, if I was paying attention, could have wrecked the wood line. Just run through instead. On the south side, we managed to take out the castle. I've got villagers that are coming to complete the extra stables, and that should help us out for the next push. Cyan's making short work of the other castle. Elephants are doing a good job micromanaging the ramps, so that should go, I think. Come on. Okay, so I did not have enough to push with much of anything, so I'm selling off everything I've got, buying gold, trying to get a couple extra trebuchets and some knights up here. It was about that point that I started looking for gold everywhere that I could, so I've got a couple of the gold here that I had queued, but because I was so focused on the military, I hadn't actually built mines around. I've got a TC that went up over here, so I can start building at that gold. I moved out to this gold over here and mined almost all of it. But gold's becoming more and more of a problem as I've ran out of all of the gold in my base. Cyan's up here in the north. So they were able to repel Cyan's push, and Jag is kind of chasing him out. And I saw that Cyan was running away and that Jag was pushing into his base, but I couldn't see what unit it was. So I thought, I've got to hit now. So I threw all of the knights and light cav that I had into the inside, and then started building up the castle from last time, and just threw all my trebs at the last castle that was north, trying to catch attention. So come get me on the south side, and let Cyan build up another force on the north. So we're not really hitting anything yet or doing any damage. We're just kind of setting off raid warnings. Again, if I was paying more attention, should have looked around and hit that wood line instead. Okay, but that castle, second castle is going to go up. I'm not even going to bother repairing the first one, even though it's only at 5%. Because the first one's covering the second for now. Okay, and those trebuchets haven't been hit yet. So I'm thinking I might be able to take this castle out. I've got the rams coming forward, and those spearmen are going to wipe me out. But now that I've got the second castle up, I'll be able to safely build trebs a little bit closer, and we can slowly start moving our castles closer and closer to take out the base. It's about at that point that DarkMocha and Jag resign. So with DarkMocha and Jag out, there's no real need to keep wiping up the base, so we say GG, and notice that yellow is not resigning, so that means I've got to pack up the trebuchets and take everything I've got to start. So there we go, pack up the trebuchets, take everything I've got and start moving backwards and try to figure out where yellow is hiding. So I had a scout back here that managed to see a tower, so I signaled to my ally right there. There's something down here. I had just been moving this villager out to try and find more gold, since my fog of war said there was gold out here where he had already mined with the mining camp. So I'm able to stop that before he runs into the castle fire, and I dive in to try and get the rest of the villagers. So we do manage to pick off the villagers, but are picked off by the tower ourselves. So I'm moving an extra scout in here, trying to see if there's any more villagers before they run away. And behind that, I've got this whole mass of waves and waves of knights that I'm queuing up as fast as I can to go hit that area, along with the 3 trebuchets from earlier. I move the villager back to try and get more gold so I can keep producing. So now I'm on this gold. actually tasked all the villagers that were there out earlier, I believe, to try and go forward and build the stables, but starting to reproduce out of that one, so I can get more villagers on gold there and here. With the 3 trebuchets, we should be able to take out the castle. And I move in with all the knights from the base to the north. Okay, Scions up here to the north, cleaning up the rest of the inner base. This could potentially give us a bunch of farms if we stole that. Also, if we leave that market alive, that gives us another market to trade with. And we're mapping up the rest of the towers down here, but I still aren't really sure where he's hiding. So I keep sending all of these knights in waves over and over again to different areas of the map. And I'm scouting for gold in different places right now. I'm just trying to see where I can hit. So I figure he's got to build somewhere that has gold. I don't remember if it was this group or the next one, but yep, this group. So I patrolled them into the gold, and they ended up finding the rest of the villagers, and that should be the game. Okay, in the meantime, Scions got elephants up here, wiping out the rest of the base. Our scouts are taking care of all of the rest of the villagers in the bottom. And that should be it. Alright, good game all around. Final maps are a little bit deceptive, since all of those villagers are being wiped up right at the end. Taking a look at the stats on the bottom. As far as banked resources go, I was the worst, with 7,000 resources. Still in wood. I should have been pulling off of wood and making more food, or even better, pulling off of wood to go to gold, which I started to do towards the end, but I really needed just food and gold for what I was producing towards the end of that. And I think I only needed like 20 on wood in order to keep seeding indefinitely, but with that much banked, I should have just pulled and made farms. Idle times. So these are idle economy totals. So idle economy totals, I was the worst on my team with 3.5 hours idle in our 1 hour 10-minute game, collectively all around the map. On the opposite team, Jag with 6 hours 15 minutes. TC idle time. Okay, I have a lot more collective idle TC time. I think because I have all these extra TCs that I wasn't queuing from all over the map. Pretty much wherever I saw gold or stone, I was just dropping TCs. Who killed or lost? Okay, it's this one. Go ahead, LTC, next screen. Smooth calf. Okay, and kill death ratios here. Okay, as far as value goes, you can see I'm trading about evenly, so I'm destroying using resources that are about equal to what I am destroying. Whereas I believe everyone else is destroying things in a way that is more valuable for them. I could be reading this wrong, I'm not sure. Alright, good game all around though. I feel like everyone was playing at a much higher level than previously. I really like the starting positions. Everyone seemed to be on food much earlier than last time. I was really impressed by the boars, actually. I believe everyone except yellow got at least one boar. Did yellow get a boar? Yellow got a boar too. So everyone got at least one boar. Awesome.